What is going on, Alpha Hunters? Hopefully, you're having a very marvelous Monday and had a very marvelous weekend. Yes. Hopefully, you're doing good today. All right, let's take a look and see what kind of action we got going on today. Last week was pretty strong in tech world last week, so kind of coming off of some pretty good action and rotation. A little bit of a gap down on the SPY here to start the week. Nothing crazy there to start. Kind of just a sideways movement there the first 30 minutes. And then pretty much the past hour, we did see a pretty good bearish move there. Let's see where we got. Nice little gap down here on the Qs. So tech started off a little bit weak today. About a 0.2% gap down there to start there on the Qs. Nice little pop there first 20 minutes, but definitely rolled over. And you can definitely see the trend strength. That's basically where the SPY got its bearishness from. Okay, IWM actually had a nice gap up. Wow, nice gap up here on the IWM. Not wow, up 2/3% there on a gap up. Jeez. Okay, you can see it pushed a little bit higher. But yeah, over the past hour, definitely has come back very strong. Gotten negative. Okay, so negative 0.1% there on the IWM. DIA also gapped up, but not nearly as strong. Kind of just sideways there around a zero line. Dropped off. As far as the RSP, nice gap up here as well, sideways. There for about the first, looks like 45 minutes or so, 30 minutes. But about a 1/4% gap up. Nice little sideways action there. First, yeah, about 45 minutes. Past 45 minutes, nice pullback. Rolling lower. So, yeah, moving lower here across a lot of things over the past hour. All right, anyways. Continuing to subtly pull back on the RSP. RSP has been now a couple days where we've gotten at least 3 of the last 4. We did have a gap up back on Wednesday of last week. We gapped up and we sold off. Thursday was kind of a flat open, not really a gap up. But Friday and Monday definitely, solid gap ups, and definitely sold down pretty good. So that's interesting. As far as the DIA currently breaking this little wick low that we had back on December 3rd, last Tuesday. So, okay. DIA looks like it might be coming down to some lower levels. IWM, yeah, that was a strong gap up there on the IWM. Yeah, if we can rally by the end of the day, this would look pretty strong as you're going to have that gap up, possible continuation higher, and then you have this strong lower wick. So watch if we can rally by the end of the day on the IWM and the RSP. I would say those would look pretty good going into the rest part of this week. Qs, if they break down and definitely hold lower, obviously you're probably just gonna be looking for the play at least to the 10 EMA at that point in time over the next, possible day or two, possibly down to this high right here. Yeah, I would be a little patient on the Qs, see what happens here over the next couple days, and then the SPY has very steadily just kind of trickled higher here over the past 2-3 weeks, but getting hit a little bit of a sell down today. Interesting. Things still look pretty good. Just have gotten a little extended here over the past couple of weeks. Not really too much of a big deal. As far as how the VIX started this week, Monday gap up on the VIX, like clockwork almost. Yeah, looking pretty good. Could be basing here. Who knows? It's the lower teens area. Basically, anything below like 15 is just like slow grind higher kind of territory. So if we start to base and push higher, that is very much possible. DXY. Yeah, this is a rather interesting one on that DXY, the dollar index, right? Because I'm kind of thinking this was a pullback. It's starting to look like this is a pullback. You really need to see, like, if you're trying to play this possible head and shoulders bearish, you really need to see this thing drop the rest of today, tomorrow quickly. Because if it starts to just kind of chop sideways, do this thing, then it looks like it's just going to rest and then eventually just kind of push up out of here. So, yeah, you definitely want to be seeing this thing drop off. What does it look like intraday? Yeah, I mean, we've had pretty good movement here over the past 30 minutes or so. So, yeah, this is definitely one where you want to see that move bearish quickly. If you're trying to see this move go bearish. But if it doesn't, yeah, I'd be willing to probably just at least not be bearish, because if it just sideways consolidates, it'd just be a matter of time before it just pushes higher. GLD Gold Trust, a nice gap up here on gold. My goodness. I'm going to take a look at the futures real quick. Hey, look at that move on gold. It was not looking that strong at the end of last week, but come out this week, Monday, nice pop there. Okay. I mean, the fact that we're getting kind of above this little side channel here that we had over the past week, it makes sense that I mean, there's not much between. I mean, there's really no structure as far as like pivot levels or consolidation until you get to like these areas are up around like 2700 to 2720 or so. So, if it sells back down, obviously by the end of the day, especially there on the futures, it would look like a pretty big false breakout. So I would keep an eye on gold maybe by the end of the day, because if you do get that false breakout look, if we sell back down on gold, at least the gold futures would look like a huge upper wick false breakout, and you could definitely look to maybe play that bearish. That would look pretty solid. But I would keep an eye on gold. There might be some opportunities there. If you hold up by the end of the day, then you can probably play bullish. As far as yields looking okay. They had some consolidation moments kind of last week. A little bit of a breakdown there on Friday. A little bit of a bullish engulfing on yields as far as the bodies are concerned. But it doesn't mean anything because you got to see what happens by the end of the day. How are they? Yeah, I mean, anything can happen over the next 6 hours. So pass. We'll just see how it looks tomorrow. As far as 10-2 inversion, yeah, it's just still just hanging around the zero line. I mean, it should be time. I mean, we've been hovering around the zero line now for a few months here on the 10-2. We should be moving up, and maybe this was it. Maybe this was just like a quick pullback, come scoop around the zero line, and now we go higher. I mean, that could definitely be possible going forward, but not surprised that we've had some choppiness around the zero line across the yield curve for the 10-2 at least. Here's a look at the 10-1. Obviously, it got inverted again back in late November. It looks like it's climbing back to the zero line, but it's just kind of chopping around that zero line. So, I mean, we should definitely be moving away from the zero line as far as like inversion goes for the 10-2. Sometime soon. Like it lasts a couple months of choppiness around the zero line, but that's about it. Usually it'll start to move up out of there. As far as the HYG high yield corporate bonds, yeah, we're just kind of moving higher a little bit. Nice little pullback day. I definitely would want to see, because I kind of talked about possibly playing this inverse head and shoulders. Dude, you want to see it move in the direction you want to play it, and the fact that, man, today we're just kind of getting that quick. Oh man, this is kind of tough because you're getting that pullback. It's like you want to see that breakout higher. You were kind of hoping Friday you would hold to the upper ends of that upper wick that we got, but we didn't. We wanted to come down, getting that upper wick, and now Monday we're pulling back a little bit. So I would say, if we don't see a pretty good bounce by the end of day today here on the HYG, and early day bullishness there on the HYG tomorrow on Tuesday, I would be probably saying, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to sit this one out, because this might also be a situation like the DXY, right, where you're not getting that breakout or breakdown type move, and it might just consolidate here, and if it starts to just do that and lose its momentum higher and just rolls over, if it doesn't work right away, don't typically doesn't work, so it's all right. I mean, you just reduce the risk, and you might take a small loss or you might take a small gain. Just kind of depends on where you got in. But LQD kind of pulling back a little bit. Obviously, the LQD and TLT had some pretty good breakouts on Friday. Some good gap ups. These might be some retests lower. Have to wait and see. So, yeah, if we can get yields to kind of roll lower, these bonds would look a little bit better maybe going forward. But, yeah, we're just seeing bonds move lower for now. And they might be in a consolidation. I mean, who knows? We'll see. We'll definitely take a look at that tomorrow because, yeah, not the strongest of looking price action for trying to see some bullishness. And if you want to take a look, actually, like HYG, TLT. So this is the one we were talking about, like HYG, TYT being bullish on the HYG and bearish on TLT or LQD. You can put either one of them in here. I'd rather do TLT, but either one. For the most part, it had been working, right, since we saw that topping action back in September on some of those bonds. And then we got that pretty good bearish move on the TLT, but you can see this ratio, between the HYG TLT, it was working. And that was kind of what we talked about back in kind of late September, is I would just rather be bullish on the HYG and bearish on the TLT, and just kind of more of playing them as a pair, because we were seeing some really good weakness in the LQD TLT area as far as the bonds, but we were seeing the HYG wasn't breaking down as much. So there you go. So, when you look at it as a pair, it makes a little bit more sense, right? Rather than just talking about it. But that's the movement that we kind of had. So are you surprised that you had a little bit of a pullback here across some of the pairs? Nah, not really. I mean, just kind of the way it is, It's kind of like a resting, and might continue later on. I mean, is it going to be the HYG that leads us higher, or is it going to be the TYT that leads us lower? Well, I mean, if you're kind of hoping maybe it's both, because that would be a better performance, right? You get the performance on both sides. Yeah, that'd be a good trade. It's been good so far. As far as sector rotation for the day, energies climbing back. Okay, they had a pretty rough week last week. Materials also did. So it looks like some people are taking the opportunities to dip bias across some sectors that were kind of weak last week, bearish last week. So healthcare, staples, real estate also doing pretty well, outperforming. Discretionary is kind of in line with the market there. Tech barely underperforming. Utilities, industrials, financials underperforming a little bit, and communications. Interesting. So Alphabet, Meta, probably getting hit pretty good today. As far as intraday price action, healthcare is at the higher end of the day as far as intraday. Staples, energies, real estate, materials, tech, all outperforming. Underperformers, utilities, industrials, financials, discretionaries, and communications. Interesting. So tech and discretionaries and communications are pretty widely diverging. What is going on here? So Tesla's down 2%. Where's Amazon? Amazon's basically flat, so that's not a factor on the XLY. But yeah, you see Tesla's down 2%, so that's a big reason why. And then you got Meta and Alphabet as far as communication sector, XLC. Meta obviously is the one leading that lower. T-Mobile and AT&T are down, and Verizon's up 1.5%. But yeah, Meta's a big reason why the XLC is moving lower. And you got a lot of bearishness out there in tech world, which is kind of interesting why we are seeing tech do well, right? I mean, tech underperforming a little bit. I would thought they would be underperforming more than that. It's more just the intraday, I guess. Tech's actually doing somewhat well. Man, but I saw a lot of red in tech world, so that's interesting.